Dante Moretti was returning from a private business meeting at 2:17 in the morning when his convoy turned onto Old Cypress Road. It was a quiet road outside the city, used mostly by trucks during the day and almost empty after midnight. Rain had been falling for nearly an hour, soft at first, then heavy enough to blur the windshield and turn the road black under the headlights. Dante sat in the back seat of the first car, still wearing the black suit from the meeting. The meeting had ended late after contracts were signed, hands were shaken, and men who liked to act powerful had lowered their voices around him. He was tired but not sleepy. Men like Dante rarely allowed themselves the luxury of sleeping easily. Outside, Old Cypress Road stretched ahead between old warehouses and dark fields, with broken streetlights throwing weak circles of light onto the wet asphalt. There were no open shops, no houses nearby, no people walking in the rain. Only the low sound of tires moving through water and the occasional flash of lightning behind the clouds. Then his driver hit the brakes. The car stopped hard enough for Dante to lift his eyes. The second car behind them stopped too, its headlights swinging across the rain. "What happened?" Dante asked. The driver did not answer immediately. He was staring through the windshield. In the middle of the road, right over the faded yellow line, something blue was lying in the rain. At first it looked like a blanket. A small soaked bundle, placed directly where any car passing through would have to stop or swerve. One of Dante's men leaned forward, his hand already moving toward his jacket. "Boss, stay inside. It could be a setup." Dante looked at the bundle without blinking. In his world, anything left in the middle of an empty road at 2 in the morning could be a trap. It could be bait. It could be a warning. It could be the start of something meant to pull him out of the car. For a few seconds, nothing moved. Then the blue cloth shifted, not much. Just a weak little movement under the rain. Dante opened the door. "Check both sides of the road," he said. "Keep your eyes on the warehouses." "Boss, wait." Dante did not wait. Rain hit his shoulders the moment he stepped out. 2 of his men moved ahead with guns low at their sides, scanning the road, the broken lights, the warehouse doors, and the trees beyond the shoulder. Dante walked toward the blue bundle himself. It was lying exactly in the path of his car. Whoever had left it there had not tried to hide it. They had wanted someone to stop. Maybe they wanted the child found. Maybe they only wanted to get rid of her without leaving a name behind. Dante crouched beside the bundle and pulled the wet blanket open. Inside was a newborn baby girl. She was tiny, soaked from the rain, and shaking from the cold. Her little face was red, her eyes were squeezed shut, and her hands were curled close to her chest. She made a small sound, not loud enough to travel far, but enough for Dante to know she was alive. For a moment he did not move. There was no note with her, no name, no bracelet, nothing that explained where she had come from or who had left her there. One of his guards stepped closer and whispered, "She's a baby." Dante slid one hand carefully beneath her head and the other under the wet blanket. He lifted her against his chest and pulled his coat around her to block the rain. She was so small that even the blanket looked heavy around her. Her skin felt too cold. "Bring the car," Dante said. The driver reversed closer at once. Dante climbed into the back seat with the baby held inside his coat. "Drive," he ordered. Straight to the mansion. The car moved before the guard had fully closed the door. Dante looked down at the baby. Her breathing was weak. Her tiny fingers opened slightly and touched his shirt, searching for warmth. She did not know who he was. She did not know his name, his money, or the fear people carried for him. She only knew he was warm. Dante held her closer, careful not to press too hard. Then he took out his phone. "Call Dr. Romano," he said to the man in front. "Tell him to come to the mansion now." "Yes, sir." "Call the pediatrician, too, and the newborn specialist from St. Aurelia. Whoever can reach fastest. Tell them I found a baby in the rain and I want her checked completely." The guard started making calls. Dante continued, eyes still fixed on the child. "I want oxygen ready, warm blankets, medicine, everything they need to check if she is hurt, sick, weak, or injured." "Yes, sir." "Call the house. Tell Maria to prepare the warmest room before we arrive." The baby made another weak sound and turned her face against his coat. Dante lowered his voice, not because he thought she understood him, but because she was too small for harshness. "You're not staying on that road." No one else in the car spoke. Outside, Old Cypress Road disappeared behind them in the rain. Inside, Dante held the child close and watched every breath she took. A few minutes later, the guard turned back from the front seat. Dr. Romano is on his way. The pediatrician is coming too. The newborn specialist said 20 minutes. Tell him 10, Dante said. The guard nodded and turned back to the phone. Dante looked down again. He had seen cruelty before. He had caused some of it himself. But this was different. This was not two men fighting over power. This was not a debt, not a betrayal, not revenge. This was a newborn baby left in the rain for strangers to decide whether she lived or died. By the time the convoy reached the Moretti mansion, the front lights were already on. Staff waited near the entrance with towels and warm blankets. Dante stepped out of the car with the baby still in his arms and walked straight inside. No one asked questions. They had served him long enough to know when silence was safer. Dr. Romano arrived moments later, rain still on his glasses, carrying a medical bag in one hand. Behind him came a pediatrician, then a newborn specialist from St. Aurelia. Both called from their beds and rushed through the storm because Dante Moretti had said the child could not wait. They prepared a table in the warmest room of the house. Dante finally placed the baby down, but he stayed close. Check everything, he said. Her breathing, her temperature, her heart, her bones. I want to know if someone hurt her before leaving her there. The doctors worked quickly. They removed the wet blanket, wrapped her in warm cloth, checked her pulse, listened to her lungs, cleaned the rainwater from her skin, and looked for bruises or injuries. Dante stood near the table, still wearing his wet coat. He did not sit. He did not look away. After several long minutes, Dr. Romano looked up. She is very weak, he said. Too cold, dehydrated, and she needs care immediately. But she is alive. Dante released a slow breath. Was she hurt? No broken bones. No clear sign of physical injury. The doctor paused, then glanced at the pediatrician. Dante noticed it. What is it? The pediatrician moved closer to the baby and made a soft sound near her ear. The baby did not react. He tried again on the other side. Still nothing. Then he asked one of the nurses to drop a small metal instrument into a tray beside the table. The sound made everyone in the room glance up. The baby did not startle. Dante's face changed slightly. What are you checking? The doctor answered carefully. She is not responding to sound the way a newborn usually does. We need proper tests to confirm it, but there is a possibility. Dante waited. The doctor spoke more clearly. She may be deaf. The room became quiet. Dante looked at the baby lying under the warm light. A few minutes ago, she had been in the middle of an empty road, left in the rain with no name and no proof that anyone had loved her. Now the reason began to feel painfully clear. So that is why they left her, Dante said. No one answered. The baby's tiny hand moved out from the blanket. Dante placed his finger near her palm, and she held it weakly. He looked at her for a long moment. They heard one word from a doctor, he said quietly, and decided her whole life was finished. Dr. Romano lowered his eyes. The newborn specialist said, Some families panic when they hear things like this. They think the child will not live normally. They think she may never speak. They think she will be a burden. Dante looked at him. She is not a burden. No, sir. Dante turned back to the baby. Her fingers were still wrapped around his finger, so small they barely covered it. If someone left her because she could not hear them, he said, then she will stay with someone who will learn how to understand her. The doctors said nothing. They did not need to. Dante's decision was already made. Do whatever she needs, he continued. Bring the best specialists. Start every test. Money is not a question. Dr. Romano nodded. Of course. And if no one comes for her, Dante said, looking at the baby again, she stays here. One of his men near the door looked up in surprise. Sir? Dante did not raise his voice. She stays here. The doctor hesitated. There are legal procedures. Child services, reports, investigations. Then complete them, Dante said. But no one sends her somewhere cold. No one lets her become a file on a desk. Not tonight. He touched the baby's hand gently with his thumb. From tonight, she is my daughter. The room stayed silent for several seconds. Outside, rain continued tapping against the windows. Inside, the baby slept under warm light, unaware that the first person to truly choose her was a man the world had never expected to be gentle. The next few days changed the Moretti mansion in ways no one inside it understood at first. The house had always been quiet, but not peaceful. Men came and went with sealed folders. Phones rang at odd hours. Guards stood like shadows in hallways. Every room was polished, expensive, and cold. Then the baby arrived, and the cold house started making room for small things. Warm bottles, soft blankets, tiny socks, a white cradle placed near Dante's private sitting room because he refused to keep her too far away. Doctors came every day. Nurses stayed through the night. Specialists tested her hearing more carefully and confirmed what the first doctor had suspected. The baby had profound hearing loss. She would not hear the world the way other children did. She might never speak in the way people expected. But she was alive, and Dante treated that like the only fact that mattered. Child services came. Papers were filed. Hospitals were questioned. Missing birth records were checked. No one claimed her. No mother came forward. No father appeared. No family name was attached to her. It was as if the child had been born from the rain itself and placed in front of Dante's car for no reason anyone could explain. Dante did not chase the people who had abandoned her. Not at first. He could have. Everyone in the city knew he could find a man who owed him money from a single footprint. But with this child, he did not want the first days of her life in his home to be about revenge. He wanted them to be about warmth. He wanted her to learn before she learned anything else that someone stayed. On the 7th night, the baby lay wrapped in a clean white blanket in the room that had once been used for guests and now smelled faintly of baby lotion and warm milk. Dante stood beside the cradle while Maria, the old housekeeper, watched from the doorway. "She needs a name," Maria said softly. Dante looked down at the child. Her eyes were open now, dark and calm, fixed on his face as if she knew him by shape rather than sound. "Luna," he said. Maria's expression softened. "Luna? I found her in the dark," Dante said. "She should have something bright." He reached into the cradle and let the baby's fingers curl around his thumb. "Luna Moretti." Maria crossed herself quietly, not because she feared the name, but because she understood what it meant. The child was not a guest anymore. She was not a rescued stranger. She was a Moretti. From that night onward, Dante began learning a language he had never imagined needing. The first word he learned was not power. It was not territory. It was not revenge. It was milk. Then sleep. Then safe. Then Papa. He sat at his desk late at night with business papers pushed to one side and sign language books open in front of him. His hands, used to giving orders with one small movement, struggled over gentle signs meant for a baby who could not hear his voice. At first, the staff whispered when they saw him practicing. Then they stopped whispering, because the first time Luna smiled at him after he signed safe, no one had the heart to laugh. Months passed. Luna grew. She learned faces before sounds, expressions before words, touch before voices. She knew Dante by the way he entered a room, by the shadow of his body near the cradle, by the warmth of his hand on her back. She learned that his face became calm when he looked at her. She learned that his hands were careful. She learned that if she cried without sound, he still came. Dante changed too, though no one said it openly. Meetings ended earlier. Men who came to the mansion with hard voices lowered them when they saw the small girl sleeping near the office. Guards who once carried only weapons began carrying stuffed animals, picture books, and pink hair clips, because Luna pointed at them once and smiled. The house that had felt like stone slowly learned to breathe around her. When Luna was 2, she began making signs back. Her first clear sign was not milk or sleep. It was Papa. Dante was standing near the window, speaking to one of his men, when Maria gasped from across the room. He turned and saw Luna sitting on the carpet, looking straight at him, her tiny hand touching her chin, then moving outward in the sign she had been practicing for days. Papa. Dante forgot what his man had been saying. He crossed the room slowly and knelt in front of her. Luna smiled, proud of herself, and signed again. Papa. Dante did not cry. Men like him were not taught how to cry in front of others, but he closed his hand around hers and stayed on the carpet for a long time, while the man at the door quietly looked away. By the time Luna turned 5, the city had learned 2 truths about Dante Moretti. The first was that he remained dangerous to anyone who crossed him. The second was that his daughter was the center of his world. Luna had soft dark hair, bright eyes, and a way of watching people that made them feel seen, even when she could not hear them. She did not speak. Not in the way most people expected, but her hands were full of words. She signed when she wanted water. She signed when she was tired. She signed when she was angry, happy, afraid, proud, or curious. Dante understood nearly all of it. If he missed something, Luna would roll her eyes in a way that made Maria laugh and then repeat the sign more slowly, as if teaching a stubborn student. Dante never treated her silence like emptiness. He treated it like a language the world was too lazy to learn. He took her to doctors, to specialists, to private tutors, but he never took her anywhere that made her feel like a problem. Still, the outside world had ways of hurting children without touching them. One afternoon, Dante took Luna to a private charity event at a hotel. It was supposed to be safe, quiet, controlled. Luna wore a pale blue dress and held Dante's hand as they walked through a room full of polished adults pretending not to stare. Near the dessert table, 2 women looked at Luna, signing to her father, and lowered their voices just enough to be cruel. "Poor thing," one of them whispered. "Beautiful child, but damaged." Luna did not hear the word, but she saw the woman's face. She saw the pity. Children understood faces long before adults remembered to hide them. She looked up at Dante and signed, "Damaged means what?" Dante's chest tightened. He looked at the women. He did not shout. He did not need to. "Damaged," he said quietly, "is when a person can look at a child and still choose cruelty." The women went pale. Luna watched his face, then looked down at her own hands. That night she was quieter than usual. She sat in Dante's office with her doll in her lap, not playing, not drawing, just staring at the carpet. Dante finished a call, then came to sit on the floor in front of her. He signed, "Sad?" Luna nodded. Then she signed, "Broken?" Dante felt something inside him twist. He signed back slowly, making sure every movement was clear. "Not broken." Luna looked at him. Her fingers trembled a little. "Then why leave me?" Dante had answered men in courtrooms, enemies in warehouses, businessmen in rooms full of lawyers, but no question had ever been harder than the one his daughter asked with her small hands. He took a breath and signed carefully. "Because they did not understand you." Luna watched him. Dante added, "And some people are afraid of what they do not understand." Luna's eyes filled with tears, silent and heavy. Dante reached out and touched her cheek. "But I understand you." Luna shook her head once and signed, "You learned." Dante nodded. "Yes, I learned." She stared at him for a long moment. Then she touched his face with both hands, like she wanted to make sure he was real. Slowly, carefully, she signed 3 words he had taught her but had never asked her to say. "I love you, Papa." Dante went completely still. He had heard men promise loyalty. He had heard enemies beg. He had heard people lie with beautiful words, but nothing in his life had ever reached him the way those silent little hands did. He pulled Luna into his arms and held her close. She rested her head against his chest, feeling the beat of his heart, because that was how she knew he was crying, even when no sound came out. After that night, Dante became even more protective of her. He did not want Luna to live hidden from the world, but he hated the way the world looked at her. Maria told him a child needed more than protection. She needed tenderness from more than one person. She needed a woman in the house who could show her things Dante could not. Dante listened, though he did not admit it. That was how Bianca Valenti entered their lives.
Bianca was beautiful, educated, and polished in the way powerful families liked.
She came from money and knew exactly when to smile, when to lower her eyes, and when to say the right thing. In public, she acted warm toward Luna. She brought expensive dolls, kissed the air near the child's cheek, and told Dante how lucky he was to have such a special daughter. Dante wanted to believe her. Not for himself. He had lived too long to need anyone. But for Luna, he wanted to believe there could be a woman who would love her gently. Luna did not trust Bianca. She became stiff when Bianca touched her shoulder. She stayed close to Dante when Bianca visited. When Bianca tried to sign, she did it badly and laughed as if Luna's language were a game. Dante noticed, but he told himself trust took time. Bianca always smiled when he was in the room. She always sounded kind. He thought maybe Luna was shy. Maybe he was being too careful. Maybe fear had made him unfair. Then one Thursday afternoon, Dante came home early. A meeting had been canceled without warning, and instead of going to his office, he walked through the mansion looking for Luna. The house was quiet. Too quiet. He reached the hallway outside Luna's room and stopped when he saw the door half open. Inside, Bianca stood near the small writing table. Luna was backed against the bed, her eyes wide, her hands moving quickly. She was signing please and papa over and over. Bianca grabbed her wrists. Not hard enough to leave a mark anyone would notice immediately, but hard enough to stop her hands from moving. "Stop doing that," Bianca hissed. "No one wants to watch you wave your hands like a broken little thing." Luna froze. Her mouth opened, but no sound came. Bianca leaned closer. "Your father will marry me soon. Then this house will not revolve around you anymore. Do you understand? You will learn to behave, or I will make sure he sends you away to people who know how to handle children like you." Luna shook her head, tears running down her face. Bianca picked up one of Luna's drawings from the table. It showed 3 figures: Dante, Luna, and Bianca. Luna had drawn Bianca in a yellow dress because Dante once said yellow looked kind. Bianca looked at the drawing and smiled without warmth. "You really think this is family?" she whispered. She tore the paper in half. Dante stepped into the doorway. "Take your hands off my daughter." Bianca turned so fast the torn drawing slipped from her fingers. "Dante," her face changed instantly. The coldness vanished, replaced by panic and sweetness. "I was only trying to teach her discipline. She was being difficult." Dante walked into the room. He did not look at Bianca first. He looked at Luna. The child ran to him and wrapped herself around his leg, shaking. Dante bent and lifted her into his arms. She clung to his neck. Her small hands signed against his shoulder, messy and frightened. "Papa, sorry. Dante held her tighter. "No," he signed back against her arm so she could see. "Not sorry." Bianca's voice trembled. "You're misunderstanding. She needs structure. She needs someone who won't let her use her condition to control everything." Dante finally looked at her. "Her condition?" Bianca swallowed. "I didn't mean it like that." "Yes," Dante said quietly. "You did." Bianca took a step toward him. "Dante, please. I love you. I wanted to be a good wife to you." "A good wife to me," Dante said, "would not make my daughter afraid to use the only voice she has." Bianca's eyes filled with tears, but Dante could no longer tell if they were real. "I made a mistake." "No," Dante said. "You showed me the truth." He looked down at the torn drawing on the floor, then at Luna's shaking hands. "A woman who silences my daughter will never stand beside me." Bianca's face went pale. "You're ending our engagement over this?" Dante's answer came without hesitation. "There is no engagement. You can't be serious." Dante shifted Luna higher in his arms. His voice stayed low-controlled and final. "Leave this house." Bianca looked at the guards in the hallway, then back at Dante. For a moment, anger flashed through the beauty she had worn so carefully. "You will regret choosing a broken child over a real woman." The room went still. Dante's eyes changed. Bianca seemed to understand, too late, that she had said the one thing she could never take back. "Get out," Dante said. This time no one waited. Maria came in and took the torn drawing from the floor while the guards escorted Bianca out. Dante sat on Luna's bed with his daughter in his arms until her trembling slowed. Luna touched his face. Her eyes were still wet. She signed, "Bianca angry because Luna bad?" Dante shook his head. "No." Luna looked at the door. "Bianca hate Luna?" Dante did not want to lie to her. He did not want to teach her that cruelty was confusion, or that hatred was love wearing the wrong face. So he signed the truth gently. "Bianca does not know how to love you." Luna looked down. Dante lifted her chin with one finger. "That is her fault, not yours." Luna watched his hands, then slowly signed, "Papa, stay?" Dante signed back without pause. "Always." She curled into his chest and closed her eyes. Dante held her and looked at the door where Bianca had disappeared. He had once thought the rain was the worst place Luna had ever been left. Now he understood there were other kinds of cold. Some people did not leave children on roads. Some people stood inside warm rooms and still made them feel unwanted. That night, Dante sat beside Luna until she fell asleep, one hand resting lightly near hers, so she would wake knowing he was still there. Outside her room, Maria waited quietly. "She will heal," Maria said softly. Dante looked through the open door at his daughter. She should never have had to. Maria did not argue. No one in that house could. After Bianca, Dante changed again. He did not become louder or crueler. He became closed. He canceled every introduction his advisors suggested. He refused every family that hinted their daughters would make suitable wives. When people told him Luna needed a mother figure, he gave them a look that ended the conversation. He had seen what happened when he trusted the wrong softness. He would not risk Luna's heart again. Luna remained his whole world. He took her to her lessons. He practiced signs with her every night. He learned how to braid her hair badly, then better. He sat through silent tea parties with dolls lined up like business partners. He let her place stickers on his phone, his folders, once even on the sleeve of his black coat before an important meeting. Men who feared him learned to check their chairs before sitting because Luna liked hiding tiny toy animals around the mansion. Life went on, but Dante kept the doors around his daughter's heart guarded more tightly than ever. He had saved Luna from the rain once. Then he had saved her from Bianca. After that, he promised himself no woman would come near his daughter unless she proved, without asking, that Luna was not something to tolerate. She was someone to love, and Dante Moretti no longer believed such a woman existed. Months passed after Bianca left the Moretti mansion, but the damage she had done stayed longer than anyone expected. Luna smiled again, played again, and signed again, but sometimes her hands slowed when a new woman entered the room. Sometimes, before signing, she looked at Dante first, as if asking permission to use her own voice. That hurt him more than anything Bianca had said. Dante never told Luna to be careful with people. He did not want fear to become her first lesson about the world. But he became careful for her. He dismissed tutors who spoke over her. He refused invitations where people treated her like a charity story. He watched every face that came near his daughter, not because he wanted to control her life, but because he had seen what cruelty looked like when it wore perfume and smiled politely. Still, Maria kept reminding him that a child could not grow inside walls forever. "She needs the world too," Maria told him one afternoon, while Luna sat on the floor drawing little moons on the back of Dante's business papers. A safe part of it, at least. Dante looked at Luna. She was humming without sound, her small lips moving as she colored. "The world has not been kind to her." "Then show her the parts that can be," Maria said. Dante did not answer, but he heard her. 2 weeks later, he took Luna to Bella Vita, a quiet Italian restaurant near the old theater district. It was not the loudest place in the city, not the most crowded, and Dante owned half the building through one of his companies, which made the security easier. He chose a table near the back, away from the main entrance, but close enough that Luna could see the room. Luna wore a soft cream dress, her dark hair tied with a blue ribbon she had chosen herself. She held Dante's hand when they walked in, but her eyes were curious, moving from the chandeliers to the flower vases, to the small candles on the tables. Dante noticed everything she noticed. He always did. The staff became nervous the moment they recognized him. The manager hurried forward, smiling too widely, promising the best table, the best wine, the best service. Dante did not care about any of that. He only watched Luna. She looked up at him and signed, "Pretty lights." Dante signed back, "Yes, very pretty." Luna smiled. For a few minutes he thought maybe Maria had been right. Maybe this was good. Maybe Luna deserved small, normal things like choosing dessert in a restaurant without people whispering around her. Then the waiter came. He was young, well-dressed, and so nervous that his hands shook slightly around the menu. He looked at Dante, not at Luna. "What would she like, sir?" Dante's jaw tightened. Luna was sitting right there, menu open in front of her, one finger touching the picture of strawberry cake. She looked at the waiter, then signed, "Water, no ice." The waiter blinked, confused, then looked back at Dante. "I'm sorry, sir." What would she like? Dante felt Bianca's voice return in his memory. "Stop doing that. No one wants to watch you wave your hands." Luna's hand slowly lowered to her lap. That was when a waitress passing with a tray stopped beside their table. She had warm brown eyes, dark hair pinned loosely at the back of her neck, and a tiredness in her face that did not make her look weak. It made her look like someone who had survived things quietly. Her name tag read, Alina. She looked at Luna, not at Dante, and her expression changed. Not pity, not discomfort, recognition. She set the tray carefully on a nearby service stand, stepped closer, and lowered herself slightly so Luna did not have to look up too high. Then her hands moved. "Would you like water with ice or without ice?" Luna froze. Her eyes widened. She looked at Alina's hands, then at her face, as if she did not trust what she had just seen. Slowly, Luna signed, "You understand me." Alina smiled and signed back, perfectly. For one breath, the whole table went still. Then Luna's face lit up in a way Dante had not seen in a public place for months. She sat straighter and signed quickly, "No ice, and strawberry cake." "But Papa says dinner first." Alina's smile grew. "Papa is probably right, but strawberry cake is important too." Luna giggled without sound, covering her mouth with both hands. Dante stared at Alina. He had paid doctors, specialists, private teachers, and therapists. He had built Luna a world where she could be understood. But this waitress had done something money had never been able to buy from strangers. She had seen Luna first. Not the silence. Not the disability. Not the powerful father sitting beside her. Luna. The waiter looked embarrassed. "Alina, I can handle the table." Alina did not look away from Luna. "She already told me what she wants." Then she finally looked at Dante. "Sir, would you like me to take the full order?" Dante studied her carefully. "You know sign language." "Yes. Why?" Her face remained calm, but something small passed through her eyes. "Because silence does not mean a child has nothing to say." Dante did not respond immediately. Luna tugged gently on his sleeve and signed, "She sees my words." Dante looked down at his daughter, then back at Alina. "Then you will serve our table." The manager rushed over, worried that something had gone wrong, but Dante lifted one hand and stopped him before he could speak. "She stays." Alina took their order, but she did more than that. She asked Luna if the candle bothered her eyes. She asked if she liked pasta shapes or smooth soup. She told Luna the strawberry cake had little white chocolate curls on top, and signed secret when she admitted the kitchen sometimes saved the biggest slice for kind customers. Luna watched every movement of her hands with open wonder. When Alina walked away, Luna turned to Dante and signed, "Can she come back?" Dante signed, "She works here." Luna signed, "Still, come back." Dante looked across the restaurant where Alina was filling water glasses at another table. He did not trust easily, not anymore, but he could not ignore what he had seen. The woman had not tried to impress him. She had not trembled because of his name. She had simply spoken to his daughter in the only language that made Luna feel fully present. After dinner, when Luna had eaten half her strawberry cake and saved the other half for tomorrow Luna, Dante asked Maria's driver to take Luna to the car for a moment. Luna resisted until Dante signed, "I will only speak with Alina, then we go home." Luna looked at Alina, then signed, "Thank you for seeing my words." Alina's face softened. She signed back, "Your words are beautiful." Luna smiled all the way to the door. Dante waited until she was outside before turning to Alina. "How did you learn?" Alina folded her hands in front of her apron. "My old neighborhood had a center for deaf children. I volunteered there." "That is not the whole answer." Her lips pressed together for a moment. "No, it is not." Dante waited. He was good at silence. Alina looked toward the window where Luna was visible through the glass, sitting in the car beside Maria, still holding her cake box. "I learned because once I lost someone before I got to know what her voice would have been." Dante's expression changed slightly. "A child?" Alina looked back at him. "My daughter. They told me she died the night she was born." The words were soft, but they were not casual. They carried years. Dante did not ask more. Something in Alina's face told him the wound was not open for strangers. "Your husband?" he asked carefully. Alina gave a small smile that held no happiness. "Left before I could even heal. He said he could not live in a house that reminded him of loss." Dante's eyes darkened. "He left you after losing a child." "Some men only want women who give them perfect lives." She looked away, embarrassed by how much she had said. I'm sorry. That is not something I usually tell customers. I am not most customers. No, Alina said quietly. I noticed. Dante almost smiled, but not quite. My daughter needs someone who understands her. Not only as a teacher, as a person. Alina stiffened. Mr. Moretti, I have a job. I can pay you more than this restaurant ever will. That is not what I meant. Dante respected that. He had expected fear, greed, or flattery. Alina gave him none of those. Then tell me what you meant. I meant I do not enter worlds I do not understand just because a powerful man opens the door. Dante looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. Fair. Alina seemed surprised. Fair? You can say no. Can I? Yes. He glanced toward the car. But Luna will ask about you tomorrow. And the day after. Alina's face softened again despite herself. She is a sweet child. She is more than sweet. I know, Alina said. That is why I noticed her. Dante pulled a card from inside his coat and placed it on the table. If you decide to come, call this number. 1 hour a day. Public room. Maria will be present. You can leave whenever you choose. Alina looked at the card, then at him. You make it sound very safe. For you it will be. And for Luna? Dante's answer came without hesitation. Luna is the reason I am asking. Alina did not take the card at first. Then she picked it up and held it carefully, as if it weighed more than paper. 2 days passed before she called. Luna asked about her 12 times. On the third afternoon, Alina arrived at the Moretti mansion wearing a simple gray coat and carrying a canvas bag filled with children's books, colored cards, and handmade picture signs. She paused at the entrance when the gates opened, and Dante saw the hesitation on her face. He could not blame her. The mansion did not look like a place where soft things survived. Then Luna came running across the entrance hall. She stopped just before Alina and signed, "You came back." Alina's nervousness disappeared. She knelt and signed, "You asked me to." Luna looked at Dante with pure joy, then back at Alina. That first lesson lasted 1 hour. By the end of it, Luna had learned 3 new emotion signs: frustrated, proud, and lonely. Dante stood near the doorway, pretending to read a message on his phone while watching every second. Alina did not treat Luna like glass. She did not overpraise her for simple things. She corrected her gently, laughed with her, waited for her, challenged her. When Luna got a sign wrong, Alina did not speak over her. She simply repeated it until Luna understood. It was the kind of patience Dante had tried to buy and rarely found. Over the next weeks, Alina became part of Luna's routine. She came in the afternoons after her restaurant shift changed. Sometimes she taught at the table, sometimes in the garden, sometimes on the library floor with cards spread around them and Luna sitting cross-legged beside her. She taught Luna signs for emotions Dante had not known how to explain well: afraid, safe, angry, proud, embarrassed, brave, home. Luna absorbed them quickly, as if she had been waiting for someone to hand her names for things she had always felt. One evening, after Alina taught her the sign for lonely, Luna became quiet. Alina noticed immediately. Lonely? She signed. Luna nodded. Before Alina. Alina's eyes filled, but she smiled gently. And now? Luna looked toward the doorway where Dante stood. Then she signed, Papa, Alina, less lonely. Dante turned away before they could see his face. He had heard many things in his life that should have moved him. Apologies, promises, confessions, but his daughter saying she felt less lonely because one woman had entered. Their house did something to him he was not prepared for. Alina had her own quiet wounds. Dante saw them in small moments. She paused too long near Luna's baby photos. She looked away when Maria folded tiny clothes Luna had outgrown. Once, Luna climbed into Alina's lap with a picture book, and Alina held her a little too carefully, like someone holding a memory she had not been allowed to keep. Luna noticed too. She touched Alina's cheek one afternoon and signed, Sad? Alina tried to smile. A little. Why? Alina hesitated, then signed slowly, Because once I loved a baby I never got to hold. Luna watched her, serious and gentle. Then she signed, "Hold me." Alina's breath caught. She opened her arms and Luna climbed into them. Dante, standing unseen at the edge of the library, did not move for a long time. He began to understand that Alina did not love Luna because the child was easy. She loved her because something in Luna spoke to the part of her that had been grieving in silence for years. Dante and Alina grew closer quietly. It did not happen with grand gestures. It happened when she stayed late because Luna had a nightmare. It happened when Dante found her in the kitchen teaching Luna how to knead dough while flour covered both of their sleeves. It happened when Alina looked at him across the room after Luna laughed and whispered, "This house sounds different now," then corrected herself with a sad little smile. "Feels different," Dante answered. "It does." One night, after Luna fell asleep on the library sofa, Alina gathered the books and placed them in her bag. Dante stood by the window, watching rain slide down the glass. Rain always made Luna restless, though she could not hear it. She felt it in the light, in the pressure of the air, in the way the adults became quiet when storms came. "She remembers," Alina said softly. Dante looked at her. She was a newborn. "The body remembers what the mind cannot." Dante looked at Luna asleep under a blanket. "I found her in rain like this." Alina's hands stilled. "I know." "No," Dante said. "You know I found her. You do not know what it looked like." He rarely spoke of that night. But with Alina, the words came easier. She was in the middle of the road. Not hidden, not protected, left where someone would either stop or run over her. She had no name, no note, nothing. Alina's face had gone pale, but Dante did not understand why. Not yet. "The doctors told me she was deaf," he continued. "That was when I understood why someone had left her. They did not even wait to see who she would become." Alina looked down. Her voice was barely above a whisper. People can be cruel when a child does not match the life they imagined. Dante studied her. "Is that what happened to you?" She swallowed. "I don't know what happened anymore. I only know what I was told." He did not push her. Alina stayed late that night. When Luna woke from a small nightmare, she reached not only for Dante but for Alina too. Dante sat on one side of the bed, and Alina on the other. Luna's hands trembled as she signed. "Rain." Dante signed, "Safe." Alina signed, "Home." Luna looked from one to the other, then signed, "Papa safe." Alina home. Neither adult spoke after that. There was nothing simple about what they felt, but Luna had named it before either of them could. A month later, Luna made her wish clear. She sat in Dante's office drawing 3 figures on a piece of paper. One tall man in black, one small girl in blue, one woman in a gray dress with kind hands. She brought the drawing to Dante and placed it on his desk. "Nice," Dante signed. Luna shook her head and pointed at the woman. "Alina stay?" Dante signed, "For dinner?" Luna frowned, annoyed that he had not understood. She signed again, slower. "Alina stay forever?" Dante looked at the drawing, then at his daughter. Forever is a long time. Luna signed, "Good." That night, Dante asked Alina to walk with him in the garden after Luna slept. The guards kept their distance. The air was cool, and the lights along the stone path were soft. Alina wrapped her coat around herself and looked nervous. "If this is about Luna asking me to stay forever, she already told me she asked you." Dante almost laughed. "Of course she did. She is very direct. She gets that from me." Alina smiled, then looked away. "Dante, I love her. You know that. But staying forever is not a small thing." "I know. Your world is not simple." "No. And you are not simple." "No," he said again. "But Luna is." Alina looked at him. Dante continued, "She loves who makes her feel safe. She trusts who sees her. She has chosen you in the way children choose, without strategy, without fear, without asking what anyone can gain." Alina's eyes softened. "And you?" Dante was quiet for a moment. "I have spent years protecting my daughter from people who wanted to pity her, use her, fix her, or silence her. Then you came into a restaurant and asked her if she wanted ice in her water." Alina gave a shaky little laugh, tears already in her eyes. That was not very romantic. "It was to me." She looked down, overwhelmed. Dante stepped closer but did not touch her. I am not asking you to enter my life because it is easy. It is not. I am asking because this house has been warmer since you walked into it. My daughter smiles differently because of you. And He stopped, not because he did not know what he felt, but because he was not used to saying such things. Alina finished softly. And you? And I trust you with the only heart I have. Alina's tears fell then. Dante reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. She did not. He touched her cheek with the back of his fingers. Marry me, Alina. She closed her eyes. I am afraid. So am I. That made her open her eyes. Dante Moretti admitting fear sounded impossible, but there it was. Honest, simple, human. I am afraid of losing what you have brought into this house, he said. I am afraid of Luna being hurt again. I am afraid you will wake up one day and decide my world is too much. Alina whispered. And if I stay? Then you stay as family, not as a tutor, not as someone I pay, as mine, as hers, as yourself. Alina looked through the garden windows toward the room where Luna slept. Then she looked back at Dante. I loved a daughter once and lost her. Her voice broke. I don't know if my heart knows how to survive loving another child. Dante answered gently. Maybe Luna is not asking you to survive it. Maybe she is asking you to live again. Alina cried quietly then, and Dante held her without asking anything more. Her answer came the next morning. Luna sat at breakfast, suspiciously watching both adults. Alina knelt beside her chair and signed. If you still want me to stay, I will. Luna stared. Then her hands flew so fast that Dante had to sign, slow down. Luna signed again, shaking with happiness. Forever? Alina nodded. Forever. Luna threw herself into Alina's arms, then reached for Dante too, pulling him down until all three were caught in an awkward, laughing embrace beside the breakfast table. The wedding was private. No grand church, no city full of guests, just a small ceremony in the garden with Maria crying into a handkerchief, a few trusted men standing awkwardly in suits, and Luna, in a pale blue dress, holding flowers she kept forgetting to throw because she was too busy watching Alina. When the vows ended, Luna walked between Dante and Alina, took both of their hands and signed, Family! Alina knelt in front of her, unable to hide her tears. Luna touched Alina's face and signed, Almost Mama? Alina's lips trembled. She signed back, Only if your heart wants that. Luna did not hesitate. My heart knows. Dante looked away for a moment, but Maria saw his eyes and smiled through her own tears. For a few weeks, happiness settled over the mansion so gently that no one wanted to question it. Alina moved into the east wing at first, then slowly, naturally, into the rooms where Luna spent most of her time. Luna began leaving drawings on Alina's pillow. Dante began coming home earlier without pretending there was a business reason. The house no longer felt like a fortress with a child inside it. It felt like a home being built one ordinary day at a time. Then Alina found the blue blanket. It happened on a rainy afternoon. Luna was at her therapy lesson with Maria, and Dante was in his study taking a call. Alina had been helping organize Luna's closet because the child had grown out of half her clothes, but refused to let anyone move anything without proper goodbyes. On the top shelf, behind a box of old baby shoes and folded nursery cloths, Alina found a wooden memory box. She did not mean to open something private, but the lid was already loose, and when she moved it, a corner of faded blue fabric slipped out. The color left her face before she touched it. Some memories do not return slowly. They arrive whole. The hospital room, her weak body, the smell of antiseptic, the small blanket she had sewn during her last month of pregnancy, because she could not afford expensive things, but wanted her daughter to have something made by her hands. Blue cloth, tiny moon stitched in one corner. Alina reached into the box with shaking fingers and pulled out the blanket. It was clean now, carefully preserved, but she knew it. Her knees almost gave out. In the corner, slightly faded but still visible, was the small hand-stitched moon. Beneath it, almost hidden in the thread, were two tiny letters. A.R. Alina Rossetti. No, she whispered. Dante found her there minutes later, standing in Luna's room with the blanket pressed to her chest and no color in her face. His call ended the moment he saw her. Alina? She looked at him like she was seeing him through water. "Where did you get this?" Dante's eyes moved to the blanket. Something inside him tightened. "It was with Luna the night I found her." Alina shook her head. "No." Dante stepped closer. "Alina." Her fingers gripped the fabric harder. "I made this." The room went silent. Dante did not move. Alina touched the stitched moon with one trembling finger. "I made this for my daughter before she was born. I stitched this moon because I used to call her my little moon when she moved at night." Dante felt the air change around him. "Your daughter." Alina looked at him, tears filling her eyes too quickly to stop. "They told me she died." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The sound of rain against the window filled the room. Dante looked at the blanket, then toward the hallway where Luna's laughter could faintly be felt more than heard as she played downstairs with Maria. "Alina," he said carefully. "Are you sure?" She almost laughed, but it broke into a sob. A mother knows the things she made for her child. Her knees weakened, and Dante caught her before she fell. She pushed against his chest, not in anger at first, but in shock, pain, confusion. "You had her," she cried. "You had my baby all these years." Dante held her arms gently. "I did not know she was yours. I buried her in my heart." Her voice cracked. "I mourned her. I slept with empty arms. I thought I had failed her. And she was here." Dante's own face tightened with pain. "I found a baby in the rain. No name, no note, no bracelet. No one came for her. I only knew someone had left her to be found by strangers." Alina pressed the blanket to her mouth, trying to breathe. "Julian told me she died." Dante's eyes sharpened. "Your husband." "Ex-husband." She wiped her tears with shaking hands. "Julian Vieri. His mother, Claudia, was there. His family doctor was there. I was so weak after delivery. They gave me something. I kept asking for my baby, and they kept saying she was gone." Her voice lowered. "I remember hearing them whisper before I passed out. Something about her not reacting. Something about silence. I thought I dreamed it." Dante's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice calm for Alina. "They knew she was deaf." Alina looked at the blanket. "And they took her from me." The truth did not arrive all at once. Dante made calls, but not in front of Luna. He sent men to find records. Nurses, old payments, the doctor who had signed the death certificate, the driver who had worked for the Vieri family 5 years earlier and disappeared soon after. Within 48 hours, the story became clear enough to break everyone who heard it. Alina had given birth to a living daughter. The baby had not responded to sound. Julian Vieri and his mother had panicked, not with grief, but with shame. They did not want a deaf child connected to their family name. They bribed the doctor. They told Alina the baby died. They filed a false death certificate. Then they paid a driver to leave the baby on a road outside the city. Not hidden in bushes, not in a place where she would certainly die, but in the middle of a road where some stranger would stop, take her, and never know whose child she was. They had not known Dante's convoy would be that stranger. They had not known the man they feared in business would become the father of the child they threw away. When Dante told Alina what he had found, she did not scream. She sat very still, the blue blanket in her lap. Sometimes grief became too large for sound. "He left me because she was deaf," she said finally. Dante sat beside her. "He left because he was weak. He told me our daughter died, and then blamed me for the sadness in his house." Her mouth trembled. "He let me hate my own body for giving birth to a child he had already thrown away." Dante took her hand. "He will answer for it. I don't want Luna surrounded by revenge." "No," Dante said. "She will be surrounded by truth." Telling Luna was the hardest thing either of them had ever done. They waited until evening, when the house was quiet and the rain had stopped. Dante and Alina sat with her on the carpet in her room. The blue blanket lay folded nearby. Luna looked from one adult to the other and immediately knew something serious was happening. "Bad?" she signed. Dante shook his head. "Not bad, important." Alina's hands trembled. Dante placed his hand over hers for a moment, steadying her, then let go. Alina signed slowly, carefully, tears already running down her cheeks. "When you were a baby, I was your mama." Luna stared at her. Alina continued, each sign breaking her and healing her at the same time. I loved you before I knew your name. But people lied to me. They told me you went away. I did not know where you were." Luna looked confused. She turned to Dante. "Alina, Mama?" Dante nodded. "Yes." Luna's eyes filled with fear so sudden that Alina nearly broke. Luna signed, "Papa leaving?" Dante moved immediately. He knelt in front of Luna and signed with both hands, clear and firm. "Never." Luna looked at Alina, then at Dante. "Two homes?" Dante shook his head. "One home. More love," Alina sobbed quietly. Luna stared at them for a long moment, trying to understand what even adults could barely hold. Then she moved toward Alina slowly and touched her cheek. Alina closed her eyes. Luna signed, "Mama sad?" Alina nodded. Luna touched Dante's hand, then Alina's hand, and pulled them together. She placed her own small hands over theirs. Then she signed, carefully and clearly, "Papa, Mama, home." Alina broke completely then, pulling Luna into her arms. Luna held her back, confused by the depth of her mother's crying, but not afraid of it. Dante wrapped both of them in his arms and lowered his head. For the first time since the night on Old Cypress Road, he allowed himself to think that maybe Luna had not only been found by him, maybe she had been leading them all back to one another. The Vieri family tried to deny everything. Julian arrived at Dante's office 3 days later with lawyers, arrogance, and the same polished cruelty that had once convinced Alina she was the broken one. Claudia Vieri came with him, dressed in black pearls and cold perfume, looking more offended than ashamed. "This is an absurd accusation," Julian said. "Alina was unstable after the birth. She imagined things." Alina stood beside Dante, pale but steady. Luna was not in the room. Dante had refused to let her be used as a weapon in adult lies. Dante placed the blue blanket on the table, then the false death certificate, then the payment records, then the signed statement from the nurse who had been paid to keep Alina sedated. Then a video confession from the driver, now old and terrified, admitting where he had left the baby and who had paid him. Julian's face changed with each piece of proof. Claudia's lips tightened. "You don't understand what families like ours face," she said coldly. "A child like that would have ruined everything." Alina flinched, but she did not look away. Dante's voice was low. "A child like that?" Claudia lifted her chin. "A deaf girl. A mute child. The pity, the questions, the shame. We made a difficult choice." Dante looked at Julian. "And you let your wife mourn a living child?" Julian swallowed. "I did what was necessary." Alina stepped forward before Dante could answer. Her voice shook, but it did not break. "No, you did what was easy. You threw away our daughter and called it necessary because you were too small to love someone who needed more from you." Julian looked away first. That was all Dante needed to see. The legal process that followed was quiet but complete. Dante did not start a war. He did not need one. He used documents, witnesses, lawyers, and the kind of pressure powerful families understood. The false death certificate was exposed. The doctor lost his license and faced charges. Julian and Claudia lost their reputation, their charity positions, their access to the circles they had tried so hard to impress. Alina was legally recognized as Luna's biological mother. Dante remained Luna's legal father by adoption and by every truth that mattered. When a reporter later asked Dante if he felt betrayed raising another man's child, Dante looked at him for so long the man forgot his next question. "She was never another man's child," Dante said. "She was mine from the night I chose her." He did not say more. He did not need to. 1 year later, the building that had once been an unused Moretti property near the river opened with a new name above its doors. Luna House. It was not a hospital, not an orphanage, and not a charity made for photographs. It was a center for deaf children, abandoned children, and families who needed to learn that silence was not emptiness. Alina helped design the classrooms. Dante funded everything without putting his name on the front. Luna chose the color of the playroom walls and insisted that every child should have cake on their first day, because new places are scary, but cake helps. On opening day, Luna stood between Dante and Alina in a pale yellow dress, her hair tied with a blue ribbon. She was 6 now, confident in the way she held herself. She signed with children. She corrected adults when they got signs wrong. She rolled her eyes at Dante when he became too serious, and pulled Alina's hand when she started crying during the welcome speech. Maria watched from the front row, smiling like someone who had seen a miracle grow one ordinary day at a time. After the ceremony, Luna ran back to Dante and tugged his sleeve. He bent down immediately. She signed, "Proud?" Dante signed back, "Very proud." Luna smiled, then signed, "I love you, Papa." Dante touched her cheek. Even after all this time, those words still undid him. Alina knelt beside them. Luna turned to her and signed, "I love you." "Mama." Alina pressed a hand to her mouth, then signed back, "I love you more than every day I lost." Luna did not understand all the pain behind that sentence, but she understood the love. She took Dante's hand in one of hers, and Alina's hand in the other. Then she looked at both of them and signed, "My family." Dante looked at Alina over Luna's head. Once he had believed he found a child in the rain and saved her. But standing there, with Luna between them and Alina's hand in his, he understood the truth was larger than that. Luna had saved him from a life built only on fear. She had saved Alina from grief that had no grave. She had turned a mansion into a home, a waitress into a mother again, and a dangerous man into a father who had learned to listen with his hands. The world had left her in the rain because it thought silence made her worthless. But Luna Moretti grew up surrounded by people who knew better. Her silence was not empty. It had always been full of love.